Let's go to the violence. We've seen it in Queensland. Of course, we know about Alice Springs, but it's not just there, it's remote communities, Aboriginal remote communities around Australia. Today, the PM's in Perth. He'll spend a week out there and around the country advocating for his voice. The opposition too are in WA, but they've not gone to Perth. They're out in the remote communities, and they're talking about the crime issues from the abolition of the cashless welfare card. The rivers of grog, you know the story. Regional mayors Kalgoorlie, Leonora, Coolgardie, Laverton, they're all demanding the government do something about the violence and dysfunction in their communities. You'll recall we spoke with the Mayor of Laverton, Patrick Hill. Have a listen.
Dropping the cashless debit card over a period of time, and since that has happened, basically all hell's broke loose with the overindulgence of liquor and alcohol, and people from the lands coming down with cash and creating havoc. And the access to cash is the issue. Whilst the cash was controlled and people could go down and get food and clothes in the general store, there wasn't a problem. It was managed.
Well, not only are they not listening to him, the federal government, they can't even get a visit from them, and they literally are flying over on the VIP jet past his community. Someone, though, who is there on the ground in Western Australia, Nationals leader David Littleproud, who joins us now from Carnarvon. David, thank you for your time. I know you've been in Carnarvon. You spent the night there. Give us a sense of what you've seen since you've arrived and what you're hearing from locals.
Yeah, look, we landed about 6:30 last night, and before the sun had gone down and we'd had a feed, there'd been 6 businesses that had been broken into, one of which is the National State member here, Mem Beard's own office. A local vet, Amy, had been broken into now for the 15th time over the last 18 months or so. And I got to tell you that there's just a lot of lost hope about what's happening in terms of intervention. The Mayor here himself has put an action plan and asked for a call of action to the Prime Minister to drop in here. He's literally going to fly over Carnarvon. He's getting $1,500 a head at a fundraiser night in Perth. I'm just saying, do what I did last night, I'm going to do tonight. Walked actually with Indigenous leaders down the main street who are saying that there are local solutions to this, not Canberra solutions, but local solutions that can be devised. One of the ones that the local community want to trial is the cashless debit card, because the real thing that they hear from children is that they're hungry. And they want to be fed, but they want to feel safe at home. And so they're fleeing home, they're roaming the streets, and the local solutions from these 2 Indigenous leaders that are on their own time, own money, walking the streets. Kay, who is an elder here, highly respected, is just saying we want a place where we can take kids, a safe place, and we want to be able to feed them. And they're doing the wrong thing because they're fleeing home, because they don't feel safe, and they're looking for food. It's a primal instinct of just having safety at home and food that they're looking for. And these are tailored solutions. It'll be different where Peter Dutton's going tomorrow to Laverton to listen, to learn, and to understand that we don't have a solution in Canberra. We don't need big bureaucracy, we just need a better bureaucracy. And there are over 1,000 Indigenous voice and groups that are giving the government advice at the moment. We don't need another one in the voice. We simply need the bureaucracy to work better, and that's all the coalition's saying. But how you do that is political leaders, decision makers, be on the ground to understand what the Ks of this world, who are the Indigenous leaders, saying how you can fix this in their own community, the pride they have in their own community. But it's also the Amy's of this world, a young lady who's a vet. Where's her voice? Her voice should be listened to like the 226 of us that go there and represent her, along with Indigenous Australians that are already there, the 11 Indigenous Australians that are already elected to Parliament, to make sure we make this bureaucracy work better, not get larger.
David Littleproud, you can understand how frustrated taxpayers are, right? They put billions and billions of dollars on the table for welfare, and we do it because we know if a family can't feed their kids or put a roof over their head, we're all the poorer for it. You know, we will create a whole another generation of dysfunction. And we had a system with a card that ensured that money was spent at the grocery store, it couldn't be spent on grog or at the pokies. But we're now in a situation where, in a lot of these communities, where exactly what you're talking about, these kids are going hungry because the money's gone back into the grog. Now, surely you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that if you've taken that away and you've got this crime wave, you've absolutely got to put it on the table. What is the point of the voice if you've got all of these Aboriginal voices telling you now, telling you what they want, and the government refuses to listen?
Yeah, and Peter, what I've got to say, I don't think this is this generation. I think we've lost potentially the second and third generation before these. And that's because the fact that we've given money out, and with all great intent, but without mutual responsibility. We've spent lots of money in making sure that we help the disadvantaged, and many of those are in these remote communities, and particularly in Indigenous Australians. But if they can't put money on the table, it is a privilege, not a right, to get Australian taxpayers' money, no matter your race, your religion, your creed. But with that comes a responsibility that you live up to what society expects you to do, which is to give safe shelter to your family, to your children, and food. And if you can't do that, that's when governments involve themselves and put in policies like the cashless debit card. And when the local council, who sat down with the Indigenous community and went to Perth and have told and cried out, the mayor here himself, I've just met before, cried out to the Prime Minister to visit, to come and listen, then the 226 voices that are in Parliament are useless. The 11 Indigenous Australians that are elected to Parliament are useless. Why put another layer of bureaucracy? This is just about executive government taking the bureaucracy by the scruff of the neck, getting them out of Canberra, not sending Indigenous Australians to Canberra, but to send them from Canberra to these communities and sit around the town halls and not leave these places until the bespoke solutions for Carnarvon is devised and the programs are run out. I mean, Kay was even telling us for small amounts of money, you can... Yeah, I mean, Kay's even telling us the small solutions here, just to have a safe home for kids, cost you nothing. Yet we're going to spend billions on a voice that'll do nothing but continue to perpetrate. And where is the ambitious goal to say we will end the gap by a certain date? By putting in our constitution, we are effectively saying we are putting up with mediocrity and failure. We should have an ambitious goal to say we've closed the gap by 2035 or whatever it may be, and then we're all equal, we've all got the advantage, and we get on with the job of living as great Australians in a great country.
David Littleproud, thank you. We'll stay across that issue too. David Littleproud's there with the broader coalition, some ministers, shadow ministers, and the opposition leader for some time.